What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another video, and this is just going to be a quick update on the market, some stocks that I'm watching and buying, and some that I'm potentially going to get into if we continue this bounce that we got at the end of the day. So basically, we knew this was coming. Typically, ahead of the FOMC, we tend to sell off. Been saying it all month, been saying it in my videos. The only thing I did wrong was not load enough puts to capitalize on this downside as a hedge. So lesson learned for next time, if we do bounce and recover, I'll be looking to scale into long dated puts as a hedge. So next time this happens, I make a good amount of money. So basically we sold off the Evergrande fears in China, could continue to hurt the market, but I think it's an overreaction. We have the FOMC starting Tuesday and ending on Wednesday, and they're going to talk about the dot plot 2 p.m. on Wednesday. So basically to keep things bullish, we want them to push their interest rate timeline and sentiment to 2023 instead of moving it up to 2022. I don't think they're going to talk about tapering, but, be prepared for the worst. September is also, the worst track record of any month for stocks. We tend to sell off in September, and investors are also concerned about the debt ceiling as that approaches, but it seems like they're going to have more on this tomorrow, according to this tweet. So now let's get into what I'm watching, go over some charts, and if you enjoy these videos, please like and subscribe, and let's get into it. First up is Caterpillar, and I'm going to get through these stocks pretty quickly here. Basically, on the week, down about 7.5%. This stock was just trading around 220 a couple weeks back, and this is a huge infrastructure play. As we know, the infrastructure bill is on the horizon. Once they get everything agreed upon, I think Caterpillar will have a very nice reaction to that bill. So we now have a gap to fill above. You're going to see a lot of gaps now after today. So hopefully these stocks do bounce and fill these gaps above eventually. I'll be looking for more charts on that. So basically, once it crosses around 194, you have the gap all the way to 200. That's where I'm looking for CAT to bounce to. Now, pretty heavy support around 180. I don't see it going below that. And I'm just in shares right now, no options at the moment. But once we find, clear support or break the downtrend indefinitely, then maybe getting into some long-dated calls could pay big. And second up is SOFI. So picked up some more shares of SOFI today. This is a long-term investment for me. Really like buying this one around 14 to 14.50. I think that's really good support for this stock, and anything under that, that's an absolute steal. So I do have 2023 leaps and shares of SOFI. Found this article talking about how SOFI looks cheap at these levels. Just talks about the latest outlook, their year-over-year growth, different analyst ratings by Credit Suisse, and their acquisition of Golden Pacific Bancorp, and how that's going to lead to a national bank charter. And that'll be a huge boost in, SOFI's value, as well as a positive news catalyst. They also give, a DCF on here, and I'll link all this below if you guys want to read through it. And they say that SOFI is about 70% undervalued, and this is just a rough estimate. But, they're saying their fair value is around 51. So that is very impressive to see for SOFI, and just one that I'm long-term on, and I know it's going to pay off well. Next up, we're going to get into the 5 short squeeze candidates to watch, according to this article. And that starts with BBIG, which is number 1 on the list, followed by ATER, which had a pretty good day before selling off a bit. Then you have BTCM, Catapult, which is KPLT, and ANY, which is Sphere 3D. I do like ANY almost the most out of this, according to the risk reward that I'm seeing. But we're going to cover 3 out of the 5 of these, and then a few others that I am watching. All right, looking at BBIG, this sold off, of course, with the rest of the market, but on the week down about 20%. Now, this was holding above 8 pretty well for quite some time, but obviously everything sold off today. I still think it's in a decent spot, but it is definitely in a bit of a downtrend at the moment. Has really good support around $6.80 to $7. So we'll see if we kind of sell off and bounce from there and head back up. Currently, the put flow is a bit heavier than the call flow, but around October 15th, when they have that reverse merger, this thing could take off again leading up into that event. So I would likely, maybe scale in if it can bounce off support here. And then, maybe we'll see a bit of a rally leading in that event. But of course, we saw how SPRT reacted. I would definitely sell the news on those types of events. Second up is ANY. This is sitting around 562, down about 10% today. Now, last week we saw this pump from 570 off good news all the way to 766 before just getting sold off. But pretty bullish on this one. I think, it has double bottomed. It's looking good. The risk reward is there, but these stocks can be manipulated because they are smaller caps. Now, looking at the chart here, pretty good call flow. It looks like it appeared to double bottom today. Almost broke it and, could have sold off a bit more, but did bounce. Now you have a little bit of a gap here to fill, so that's two gaps above. But this was the head and shoulders I showed in the other video right there. If we go to a different time frame, it'll show it better. Before leading into this downtrend, then a gap down. But I think it's in a really good spot. Right around 560 is pretty heavy support. So looking for this to bounce tomorrow and head back up at least into the 650 range. And then eventually, when more good news comes out, I hope to see that gap get filled. Next up is ATER. This thing actually took off today despite the overall market selling off. So I believe it touched around 1350, but it's showing 1327 here. Then sold off to 11, but that is pretty good support for ATER right now. As you can see, it's bounced off that a couple of times. Bounced from 11, closed the day at 1172, and we do have a gap to fill, in the 16 to 17 range, but first would like to see this break back over 1350 and then over 15. Those are the two major resistances that I'm seeing. So we'll see how ATER does in the coming days. It's obviously still heavily shorted if it's being mentioned in these articles. One that I'm keeping on watch for sure. All right, next up is SDC. This one actually pumped this morning. Pre-market, I believe it touched 8, but it was definitely in the 7s and then ended up selling off throughout the day. At a point, it was down 8%, but up after hours. Still in a decent zone, holding 680. $6 is heavy support. This is one that can be manipulated pretty easily. So we can look over here. Did gap down, but officially filled that gap completely. And pretty much 750 is like a huge spot for this one to break. Could completely fill this gap below at 6. That'd be a good spot to buy, I think. And I could see it bouncing off that. So this one, just on watch for me. I'm not in this anymore. But I would definitely look to maybe re-enter around 6 and play that bounce. Last up is AMC. This one was down pretty big today on the week, down 22%. I've been patient with this one to finally start scaling into shares. It has been in the high 40s and 50s recently, and I still think the move is coming for AMC. Just got to be patient here. Now, a tweet that actually put me onto this, I found a couple days ago, basically talking about how the 85% increase, then you have a 22% decrease, which is a 50% retracement from the floor to the ceiling. Again, happened April to May, and then he was pretty spot on with this one, talking about a 24% decrease would be around 40.50. Obviously, we went a bit below that. And as you can see, this came out September 18th. So it was on my, radar. And then looking at the chart here, I know 38 is pretty good support, and so is 36. So just started to scale in. We have a bit of a gap to fill now to 44. And obviously, just going to hold these shares until the big move happens. So excited to finally add AMC and hold it with everyone else. I do think that this is going to be a pretty big move when it does happen. So that's pretty much it, guys. Hope you enjoyed the video and the quick updates. Let me know what you guys are watching in the comment section below. Feel free to check out the free Discord and the Patreon, and have a good one.